Welcome to the Hot Location Breakdown, where I show you the best cards and some great decks to help you win more in the Hot Location. I strongly believe this is the best day to rank up, and getting that little advantage in the deck builder is going to help you immensely. If this is helpful, please like the video and subscribe for more. Gamma Lab, after turn 3, you're going to transform all cards here into the Hulk. Of course, the Hulk being 12 stats. You're going to have a bit of a race for your opponent to see who can get more Hulks to get that early lead. Do be warned though, you don't want to fill up your lane with 4 Hulks because you are absolutely asking to get Shang-Chi'd on turn 6 and lose 8 cubes. Shang-Chi is going to be the card the meta is sort of built around and revolving around. He is of course destroying all enemy cards at this location that have 9 or more power. So if you fill up that lane with Hulks, you're not going to be able to play an armor to protect yourself. Cosmo is the other key card which is going to counter Shang-Chi, so expect to see a lot of Cosmos, a lot of armors, so I would advise strongly against playing a destroy deck with Carnage and Bucky Barnes. What you can often do is try and get an advantage and then on turn 4 play an armor. So shortly we are going to look at some of the best ways you can play to get more Hulks than your opponent early on. Before that, I wanted to highlight 2 very nice combo cards. I think the Hood is a card you can very much consider playing in any deck today because you can put that -2 and turn it into a Hulk, and then you have the Demon to either turn into a Hulk as well or play it into a different lane a little bit later on. Cloak is a very spicy card as well. Do bear in mind though that your opponent can also move cards to the Cloak lane, but if you get 4 Hulks, then on turn 4 you play the Cloak, you might just be able to move those away before your opponent Shang-Chi's, because often people are going to hold Shang-Chi until turn 6. So you might get a bunch of Hulks and then move half of them over to the Cloak lane. I think it's a really fun idea. Let's look now at the cards that are going to be the best at helping you get more Hulks than your opponent. Juggernaut is probably the best. You play it on turn 3. It's going to move any cards your opponent plays into the Gamma Labs away. You get a Hulk from your Juggernaut. You deny your opponent getting Hulks, and you're also clogging the other lanes with what are likely to be low power cards. Cards like Wasp, cards like Brood are very likely to go into the Gamma Labs lane, and Juggernaut is then putting those elsewhere, making it even more difficult for your opponent to get big scores there if they've got low power cards in that location. We have Brood, as mentioned, very solid card in Silver Surfer already, and one of the best cards in Gamma Lab, just putting 3 cards in, all Hulks. Wasp, Yellow Jacket also doing the business. The downside on Yellow Jacket not really being particularly relevant because it lowers their power, it costs 0 in its 2 stats, and on reveal it lowers the cards there by 1. But they're going to turn into Hulks, and they don't keep those debuffs when transforming. Mysterio is a pretty interesting card. You can play the fake Mysterio into the Gamma Labs, turn it into a Hulk, while also having 4 points elsewhere. If you want to be really crazy and bamboozle your opponent, you could put the real Mysterio into the Hulk lane. I wouldn't advise doing that. It's not good, but it's a bit funny, isn't it? Other cards which are going to be good at helping you win the Hulk location early or get more Hulks are Elektra, Killmonger, and also a bit of a special shout out to Gambit. Any card, of course, killing cards is going to be denying your opponent a Hulk. Alright, we also have Null as a deck idea. Let's be honest, no one has this card. But because there's going to be so many Shang-Chi's, so many Hulks, you don't even care if you get Shang-Chi'd in your Hulk lane necessarily, because those points are then going to be added to your Null. Pretty interesting idea. Also, Arnim Zola, I think, is a very solid card because you can Arnim Zola 1 Hulk from your Gamma Lab to get a Hulk in the other 2 locations. Alright, now let's look at some of the key cards which you can build around. Electro, probably the best deck today, I would wager. On reveal, you get +1 max energy, which means on turn number 4, you're going to have 5 energy, etc. So on turn 6, you're going to have 7 energy. But its downside is that you can only play 1 card per turn. But that's an ongoing ability. So if you turn this into a Hulk, that ongoing ability is no longer relevant, which means you're going to be able to play multiple cards per turn and have an extra energy per turn. This is a Electro Ramp deck which Marvel Snap Zone have recently shared. I've just taken it from them. I would probably advise playing America Chavez in this deck because it's going to help you draw your Electro more often. Also, you might just want to consider swapping out some of the cards like Ebony Moore, etc. for some of these cards like the Hood, which are going to be nice into this featured or hot location, I should say. Okay, up next, QUAKE. My goodness, I'm going to be playing Quake on stream, so make sure you check out my stream. I'm going to be doing a stream on YouTube. On reveal, if this is at the middle location, swap the positions of each location. It just sounds so funny. Quake is a terrible card. It never sees any play in Snap, but today is surely the day. Your opponent's gearing up for that Gamma Labs, and suddenly you play Quake, shuffling where the location is. Probably want to play her on turn 3 for the surprise value, right? And then hopefully you get loads of Hulks, your opponent gets none, you've already snapped. Happy days. And your opponent's probably snapped because you've got no cards going into Gamma Lab, going into turn 3. They might be lining out a Juggernaut, and then bang, Quake. Amazing. Storm is an okay idea. You can just get rid of the Gamma Lab location and try and win it yourself. Also, the other reason I included Storm is you could just bin off the Gamma Lab location, Storm a different location. Maybe you've played a Lizard there on turn 2, Storm on turn 3, and then JJ on turn 4 or a Juggernaut or something to secure that lane, and then Shang-Chi the Hulks later on. Scarlet Witch also gets a mention because you can just get rid of the Gamma Lab, but I think the spiciest of all is going to be the Rhino. Rhino, if you're not familiar, is a 3 energy, 3 stack card, which just turns it into a Ruins. Terrible card usually because Scarlet Witch and Storm are just better. However, in a Silver Surfer deck, Rhino could really be popping off. So this deck has Storm and Rhino. Also includes a Cosmo and a Brood, of course. So if you do want to go for the Hulks, you can slam the Hulks with Brood and then on turn 4 Cosmo to protect yourself. Up next we have Psylocke. You can play her on turn 2, she turns into a Hulk, and you can play Mr. Negative on turn 3, which also turns into a Hulk. Well, that sounds absolutely filthy. Make sure you're snapping before you play the Psylocke if you have Psylocke into Mr. Negative. You do not want to snap afterwards because your opponent's much more likely to concede. You want to get that snap value in nice and early. Again, this deck I've just taken off Marvel Snap Zone's meta report. There's a Bast in here. If you don't have Bast, don't panic. Just play any card of your choice really that is high in energy and low in points. Something like an Arnim Zola would suffice, or just another 3-drop which synergizes with your Silver Surfer. Up next we have Daredevil. I think Daredevil is a card which is very easy to underestimate how good it's going to be into Gamma Lab. Because of the Shang-Chi and armor meta, that information on turn 5 is going to be very nice. If your opponent is slamming a Shang-Chi, if you've got initiative, you can time the armor perfectly. However, if you're expecting that Shang-Chi on turn 6 because you see that they don't play it on turn 5, you can lock down that location with a Spider-Man or a Professor X. There's a whole bunch of Daredevil decks, including Destroyer decks. This is just my favorite Daredevil deck personally at the moment. It's a Spider-Man deck, which I used to get to infinite rank. If you don't have Titania, do not panic. You can replace her with pretty much any 1-drop of your choice. The Hood seems like a great option for today, that's for sure. So a lot of these decks aren't tweaked for the featured locations, but of course I'm showing you all these cards, which you can just put in as and when. I just figured it's nice just so you get a little idea of some of the decks that you could be playing. That is all of the cards that I would like to suggest. America Chavez, definitely the one that I didn't talk about, which I think is going to be great into Gamma Lab. Don't be afraid to go for those 4 Hulks. Cloak things away. Be careful of the Shang-Chi. The Hood, put it into every flipping deck, I think. Juggernaut is the MVP for getting more Hulks than your opponent. And then, of course, the Electro deck, as well as the Quake meme. It's going to be a spicy day, Marvel Snap. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like it if you did. And the keyword, if you watch this far, is Quaker. That's right, Quaker. All right, thanks so much. Appreciate the support and see you on the next one.